Let the sound of the bell just reverberate through your bodies. Happy Easter! Happy Easter! Yay, what a beautiful day to be here. My name is Reverend Nikki Golden. Reverend Mindy Tucker is giving the message, ringing the bell, and the board member of the day is Aaron Richardson. We have a few readers that we will have you hear about in a little bit, but we're so happy to be here. Let's begin with our affirmation, rising up. This is the affirmation. You can stand up to say it. This would be the way to do it today. Rising up, I engage in life in new ways. Let's do it again. Rising up, I engage in life in new ways. Okay, full body. Rising up, I engage in life in new ways. Could you feel the difference of each of the ways you said it? And how the energy expanded and grew, how the energy arose as you said it. I'm going to invite the children to come forward. You guys can sit down. Not the kids, though. Invite the children to come forward. Take your time in coming up here if you like. Welcome to Unity of Mesa on this beautiful, beautiful Easter morning. We have a special treat for you from the children. We invite you today to really open up, to know that you are energized, that you are engaging in life, that you are enlightening your world, and that we empower you and you empower yourself to move through and uplift the world and the people that you come in contact with by your very presence, and have the best day today that you can have.
2 weeks ago, I met with the children and we learned the hand motions to a song you may know. It's called Higher Place. And we're going to engage in this kind of fun together. And if you're worried about anything, all you have to do is put your hands in the air. But we're going to try to be organized about it and do it in sections. It goes up, up, up in a higher place. So we're going to say up,
up,
up, up. Think about a wave. Up, up, up in a higher place. Up, up, up and far beyond this time and space. I mean, we say up, up, up a lot, so our hands will be in the air. Are you guys ready? We got to stand up. This is definitely a standing song. And then we jump, and then we move backward, and we move forward. I know you can hardly wait. Ready?
up, up,
Up in a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up
to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning around and around. My life is moving ever upward. My feet are leaving the ground. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place.
Okay, they sort of did it. But you did it. Higher place. Okay, thank you so much. They have kits and activity books, and they're going to be with us for the whole service. So thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. I'm your platform person today, obviously, and I have a couple of announcements for you. After service today, we invite you out into the garden for hospitality, fellowship, an Easter egg hunt, and a very special guest. The Easter Bunny will be here. Woo-hoo! All right, and next Sunday, celebrate Earth Day and try some vegan food. Next Sunday, we honor Earth Day and a how-to on sustainable eating, sustainable living, all while enjoying a vegan lunch. We'll also have a fun herb planting craft and make Earth Day and sign up today. Seriously, today though, today is the last day to register, and you can register in the bookstore. All right. You can find details, dates, times, and more for all of our events and workshops on your Things for You to Know page at unityofmesa.org. Registration is also open in the bookstore. And thank you all for sharing your love and light with us this morning. Please know that your soul is welcome here. And now let's share our guiding statement to remind us why we come together. Say it with me. We are here to experience more of the fullness of who we truly are in order to transform the world. All are welcome here. Thank you, everybody. On this day, we would see the world in a new light. On this day, we would add new spirit to our lives. On this day, we would taste a new time of peace. We would rest from desire for gain, ambition for things. We would raise our eyes to look beyond time and space towards eternity. Oh, may we come to see the world in a new light. As it is written, let a new light shine upon Zion, and may it be our blessing to see its splendor. Please stand if you're able and join us in singing Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's dew falls, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pad. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Please be seated. How do I find what life's about unless I venture farther out? Something in me is not content. Something affirms that I am meant for more. And so I have to try and see if somehow I can fly. Going beyond the edge of things, I may find out that I have wings, though they are of a different kind than birds, being mainly in the mind. Whatever now I seem to be, yet more is to be found in me. Words from the poet laureate James Dillard Freeman, who grew up in Unity, and he had a million different jobs in the Unity movements, but one of them was writing for the Daily Word. And what the Daily Word would do was they'd say, Jim, here's a picture. Here's a picture. Write a poem. So that's really where his inspiration came from. And I believe that we know, and something quickens in us when we recognize that we are meant for more. It's something that we dream about in our sleep. It's something that we dream about when we're awake. And it's actually more than just an idea. It's a deep-seated wisdom, a knowing within us that we are meant for more. We are meant to be one with the opulence of God and living rich and abundant lives. We are meant to experience joy, love, and peace every day. We are meant to experience the kingdom of heaven right here and right now. On this Easter, across and around the planet, Christian churches are celebrating that resurrection, that miracle story from the Bible. It's found in all four Gospels, and it's told again and again and again. And it seems like even if you never went to a Christian church, you know the miracle story of Easter. Unity's co-founders, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, looked at the miracle story. In fact, they looked at the tragedy stories. They looked at the challenges. They looked at every event in the Bible first as historical and then allegorical. And then, secondly, they would look at these events and these stories, and particularly this miracle story, as a metaphysical reflection of what is going on in our lives in our current day and time. So that's quite a different take, because so often in these more traditional Christian churches, they're addressing the new covenant. They're addressing the resurrection and the salvation that it means for all humankind. Whereas in Unity, we're not celebrating that great exception that Jesus was. We're actually celebrating the great example that he set, the way shower that we see him as in our lives. And if he could recognize that it was time to move and rise up into a higher consciousness, that he was meant for more, then he, by his example, was going out on that edge, the edge of everything he knew, as a way to demonstrate for us that it's possible for us to rise up, to metaphysically reflect the possibility in our life that we can rise up into a higher consciousness, into a new way of thinking, and into a new way of being. And as we say in Unity, unity is a way of life. So it's a new way of life, a new way of engaging in life. But circumstances do occur in our life that seem to be contradictory to the idea of resurrection. So when circumstances occur, we don't have to have a day called Easter to recognize that our resurrection occurs when we think a new thought. Our resurrection occurs when we go into a higher consciousness. Our salvation occurs when the new thoughts and the higher consciousness that we have immersed ourselves in, that we have marinated ourselves in, becomes so strong. It becomes such a current of flow that we can't help, but live, but take action, but demonstrate in our own lives. So these circumstances that occur because they just do. And it depends on how we view them. If we look at them as obstacles, which we are taught to do, to look at something that happens as an obstacle, then what we're really doing is hanging on to a mistaken belief. A mistaken belief that we're not enough, that we're not old enough, that we're not young enough, that we're not rich enough, that we're not educated enough. We're holding on to a mistaken belief that only lucky people get to be winners. Or holding on to a mistaken belief that a certain percentage of the people, of the population, will receive a cancer diagnosis. We have a mistaken belief that so many people, a certain percentage of people in our population will contract diabetes. And we have a certain mistaken belief that so many people in our population will die of a heart attack. These are just mistaken beliefs, and we treat them as giant obstacles. So here's what we can do with our mistaken beliefs, and I can say this in church. Here's what I can do with that mistaken belief. Pick it up and hold it in your hand. That's all it is. We have a mistaken belief and we're holding it in our hand. Just like that. It can be as simple as that. But we have learned that it's our job to hold on to them. And that once we encounter them, that life will be hard. That's another mistaken belief. We see this in cartoons all the time. My parents were a bit older, and they grew up going to the movie theater to watch cartoons. So they went to the movie theater and they watched cartoons like Tom and Jerry. I grew up, when I was little, we had black and white televisions, and I watched The Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And my sons, they watched cartoons like Space Jam and Power Rangers and the one with Buzz Lightyear, Toy Story. So they watched those, and I know that the youth of today watch a lot of animated movies like Encanto and Frozen, and the children of today are intimately familiar with all the cartoon characters. And so what happens when Tom the cat or Wile E. Coyote or Woody the cowboy or even Mirabelle encounters a catastrophe or a circumstance? They go splat, right? I mean, it's animated. They go splat. But that's kind of how we feel when a circumstance or an event presents itself in our life. But here's what all of those cartoon characters have in common. They resurrect. Right? They resurrect. They have a new thought. They move their minds into a higher consciousness. If the cartoon characters can resurrect, what can we do? We can too. We can too, because really all we have learned is what we've learned from collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness has been teaching us, and we've been marinating and we've been taking it in, but it is actually not a reflection of who and what we truly are. We've simply learned the behavior or the pattern or the mistaken belief. And if we learned it, we can unlearn it. There was an experiment a number of years ago where a marine biologist had this big, giant tank, and he put a shark in the tank. And then he put some bait fish in the tank. And what did that shark do? He went right after those bait fish. He attacked them. He ate them because that's what sharks do. So he did this over a couple of days. And then he took a giant plexiglass barrier and he put it inside the tank, dividing the tank into two separate parts. The shark was over here. And then in this side, he put some bait fish. And the shark went nuts. The shark went nuts because he could see those fish, these beady little eyes. He could smell it. He could feel the vibration of those bait fish. But no matter how hard he tried, he could not get to that portion of the tank where the bait fish were swimming around. So in the beginning, the shark was very aggressive, and it actually damaged itself. It hurt itself. It injured itself trying so hard to get through that plexiglass barrier. But even over the course of an hour, it became less and less aggressive. Over that week, the marine biologist kept putting bait fish over here in this portion, and eventually the shark gave up. The shark learned that there was a barrier between it and its good. The shark learned that there was a barrier between it and its good. So let's say that together, and if you're watching online, type it in the comments, type it in the chat. We're going to say, the shark learned that there was a barrier between it and its good. It learned it. Because you know what happened next? That marine biologist took out that fiberglass barrier, and the shark not once attacked those bait fish. If you can learn it, you can unlearn it. And as human beings, because we are such powerful, amazing creators, if we have given meaning to an obstacle, we can take that meaning back. If we have given meaning to a difficulty or a diagnosis, just pick up your hand, do it again. We can put it down. The Reverend Derek B. Wells, who is the minister of Christ Unity Temple, which is one of the biggest New Thought churches in the world, said this. I have the clicker. There it is. If we put the obstacle in our way, if we have taken on mistaken beliefs, if we have engaged in habitual reaction, we can remove that obstacle. We can remove that mistaken belief. And we can choose a different reaction. There is nothing keeping you from your good but you. I don't know if you can picture or write that down. That is some profound truth, and I don't want you to miss it. There is nothing keeping you from your good but you. And if we were to turn it around as an I statement, this is what it would say. There is nothing keeping me from my good but me. This is worth saying out loud. This is worth taking your power center, your voice, and adding to it. It's worth sitting up a little straighter for. It's worth standing up for if you were so inclined. And if you're watching online, I invite you to do that. But I want us to say it together. And again, if you are watching online, put it in the chat or the comment section, because this is too good to be missed. It is the beginning of our resurrection. This is the beginning of our salvation. So let's say it together. There is nothing keeping me from my good but me. Let's do it again. There is nothing keeping me from my good but me. And take a breath. Take a breath into that expansive truth. Last week, I had the opportunity to ask the adults in the congregation to share their wisdom for this service, for resurrection and salvation and Easter Sunday. And I gave some prompts. It was like, what do you wish you had known as a child? What do you have that you can recommend? What would you like to remind other adults about? And we got 48 responses back. And the wisdom truly was profound. As a child, I wish I knew my parents did not have all the answers, but were doing the best they could. I wish I'd known that as a teenager. As a child, I wish I had known that I did not need to feel guilty about my shortcomings, but they were simply opportunities for me to learn. This is the purpose of life. I felt unloved and unwanted as a child. If I could have known God and that God loved me unconditionally just as I was, it would have meant the world to me. I want you to know that when kids act mean to others or bully others, it's because they themselves are going through a hard time. Try not to take it personally. But we're taught to take it personally. We have learned to take it personally. When our parents, as loving and well-meaning as they are, say, "You are really getting on my nerves." Or in those early relationships, "You broke my heart," right? We put our responsibility on another person. But if we learned it, we can unlearn it. Now, in taking these 48 responses and trying to call into 17 to 20 minutes spiritual Easter, I kept trying to think of a visual that would help see the depth and the breadth of wisdom that was shared by the adults. And the only thing I could think of was food. Because you're like 4 responses and ding. This says. So I know that they're a little bit out of order numerically, but I talked about the importance of learning first. If we learn it, we can unlearn it. And then there's our divine nature, and there were 15 responses for that. But it's really hard to figure out which should go first on a list. It's a little bit like the chicken and the egg. Because which comes first? Our true nature as being divine or our learning? Because we learn what our true divine nature is, or we relearn it when we have forgotten it. So anyway, it doesn't matter. They're both right up there at the top. And if we went to the scripture way back in Genesis 1:26, it is written that we are created in the image and likeness of God. We are created in the image and likeness of God. The gospel, according to Unity of Mesa, says, you are special. Here it is. Oh, wait. There's so many. I don't want you to miss it. You are special. You are eternal. You are enough. God is love. You are love. And you are loved. Wisdom from right here for us to relearn or remember to lift ourselves into that higher consciousness. Now, the one at the bottom on the adult survey, because we've now clicked to the kids survey, but on the bottom of the adult survey, right back there, it says there are 2 pieces of wisdom that pertain to the importance of play. Research, tons and tons of research shows that children learn better when they're playing. There is also tons and tons of research that shows adults learn better when they are playing too. So a little over 4% of the congregation of Unity of Mesa believes that the importance of play are the most important things. Because when we're playing, when we're laughing, our brains integrate and imprint what we're doing in a way that sticks. Now, when we turn to the survey for the children, you notice that play is number 1. It is a full 50% of the wisdom that the children wanted to share with you. And this is really it. Recess should be longer. Play more. Play more. Be free to learn. That was a sneaky one because they got learning in there too. Playing helps us use the golden rule. It gets more and more profound. They had words of encouragement in their wisdom. And for our spiritual journey, it says, one child said, share the burden. There are lots of helpers. From a child. Share the burden. There are lots of helpers. It's sort of like that shark who learned about the fish, like that shark's good was everywhere, and it had forgotten to see it. As grown-ups, I think sometimes we forget to remember that it is in community, particularly spiritual community, that there are so many people who want to help you. Now, we know that we have chaplains here, and we know that we can always ask for prayer, but I learned this week that I could ask for a KitchenAid mixer. Our furniture doesn't come until June, and so we're glamping in our temporary apartment. But it's something as easy or simple as that. When we forget our oneness with God, that's when we really need our helpers. And very often when I'm working with people, it's like we get so keyed up, and there have been moments in the last 3 weeks where I've been so keyed up. It's like our vision becomes extremely myopic, and all we can see is the problem. All we are in is that grip of the mistaken belief. All we have is that obstacle right in front of us. Whatever it takes to, empty your hand of the mistaken belief, whatever it takes. Sometimes I tell people, just see my face. Know that there's a loving presence with you always. See your chaplain's face. Know that there's a loving presence. The last piece of wisdom I want to share is also from a child, and it's this: notice the invisible. Notice the invisible. There is so much more than what we can see. Our job, our journey, our resurrection story begins when we see beyond appearances, when we move in consciousness to that higher place, when we choose to take hold of a new thought, when we so fully immerse ourselves in that higher place, that higher consciousness, that all we can do is have that urge, that movement, that desire to engage in living in new ways. Rising up, I engage in life in new ways. Rising up, I engage in life in new ways.
I close my eyes, I open my heart, I take a deep breath, let the healing start. I lift my hands, I plant my feet, let the love in, and I feel the beat that's calling me to rise, rise. Spirit, rise in me. I ready my soul, I clear my mind. I'm here and now, in present time. I feel power, of 1,000 tongues, lighting up the darkness. We rise as one, oh, rise, rise, Spirit, rise up, rise in me, oh, rise, rise, rise in me, rise in me. I sing to you, you sing to me. Change this noise and make sweet harmony. Oh, rise, rise, Spirit, rise up in me. Oh, rise, rise, Spirit, rise up in me, rise in me. Heart to heart, hand in hand, no turning back, we're onward to promised land. Do you feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark? Oh, your eyes as one. Love's calling, calling out your name. Love's calling, that's why we came. Love's calling, calling your name. Love's calling, it's why we came. Come on and rise, rise up in me, oh, rise, rise, rise up, rise up in, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up. Rise up, lift your hands up, and love is alive. Rise up. Ooh. Rise up, rise in me.
Let's take that energy and those words into a time of meditation. Tune into the love that's calling your name right now. Love is calling your name right here and right now. Love has a message for you, for truly you are love. You are a beloved expression of God, a beloved expression of the divine. Your soul is longing for something bigger, something greater, to lift you up, to hold you, to expand your awareness, to see the invisible all around you. Breathe into that space, allowing opening, nourishing, and receiving. And ask yourself the question, what obstacle have I placed in my own way so that I am not experiencing all the good that I could experience in this moment? Ask yourself from a place of wonder, a place of curiosity, a place of joyful learning. Let it be a fun question so that you may learn from that question. And let's take that question. What obstacle have I placed in my way that keeps me from experiencing all the good that is present for me? We move now into the sacred and holy silence. And just let the music wash over you as you spend that time in this divine energy of substance. And now imagine your own face in front of you, calling you higher, calling you to a higher vibration, a bigger, more fuller life, greater joy. And when we are in those shadowy times, imagine that all you have to do is look in the mirror. And if you're able, say I love you to that image of yourself. And if you're not able, just ask yourself, am I willing to become able to look in the mirror and say, I love you. I love you. I love you. Rising up in energy, rising up in vibration, rising up in joy. And then allowing us as we rise up to come back to this time and this place and this now moment, this present moment that is here for us, coming forward to bless, to be a part of. And as the lights begin to come up, let your heart open. And I want you to look around and see the faces of the people around you who love you, who love themselves, who are a part of this spiritual community, supporting you as you grow, as you change, as you welcome yourself. And in a moment, Aaron is going to be here for us to have a offertory blessing. And as he comes forward, place your hand on your heart. And if you can say it out loud, say, I love you. And if you can't say it out loud, just say it in your mind's eye. I love you. I love you.
I love you. We are abundantly blessed at Unity of Mesa. Living the Christ invites us to remember that we are connected to Source, and life flows through us. We give as Source to what we care about and what we want to see thrive. As we each give of our time, talents, and treasures generously, the work we do here prospers.
We no longer pass the love offering bags and instead offer many easy ways for you to share from the abundance in your life to support this spiritual community. You can visit Give Online page on our website. You can use the Vanco mobile app or drop off your gift in one of the red buckets around the exit doors and use your card in the bookstore. Now, please take your gifts in your hands. Holding our gifts in our hands and our hearts and our minds, we dedicate and consecrate these gifts to the greatest expression of spirit through the work of this ministry. Please say with me our offering prayer. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Blessings are the givers and the gifts.
In the way that the mountain greets the morning sky, it's a feeling in the air so rare you can't deny. Sweeping forward unrehearsed, spreading all over the universe, an awakening. It's uncompromising. Joy rising, joy rising, joy rising. Joy rising, joy rising, joy rising. It's a feel-good virus you cannot contain. Spreading out at the speed of light like a runaway train. It's a flash mob celebration, fearless jubilation, an awakening, uncompromising, joy rising, 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 joy rising.
We want you to know that there's hospitality in the garden after this. We also want you to know that there's an Easter egg hunt in the garden after this. And we want you to know that we have a special appearance of an Easter bunny in the garden after this. We also want you to know that there are chaplains available to pray with you. I'm going to ask the chaplains to stand so you can see who they are. You can know who your go-to people are today. They are happy to be holding you in prayer. Thank you for being here today. Thank you because your presence makes a difference. Thank you for being willingness to write your own resurrection story, to write your salvation story. Rising up, we engage in life in new ways.
It's a moment of creation when a new idea is born. It's there in the room when you wake on Christmas morn. It's happiness, it's time's ecstasy. It's a moment of unity. I believe we're finally here. Stand up and the crosswords of a new frontier. A realization heaven is here and now. Awakening to that dream that escaped us somehow. Joy rising, joy rising, joy rising. Joy rising, joy rising, joy rising. Joy rising.
Okay, so it's my first time doing this part. Let's close with a prayer for protection. Using the silent unity extra lines together, we say, the light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence wherever God is, and all is well. Woo!